Well, our top focus story is from Assam, where 5 police personnel have been killed. Over 50 people have been injured in violence at the disputed border between Assam and Mizoram yesterday. While the Mizoram government in a press statement admitted to firing, Mizoram police has alleged that it was the Assam police which had first intruded the area. Tensions had been simmering in the area for over a month. The SP of the Kachar district of Assam has sustained bullet injuries and is in ICU. He might be shifted out of Silchar in an ambulance for better treatment. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma is also reaching Silchar today to take stock of the situation.
The entire development have been quite unfortunate. It all started with the Assam police aggression into the duty camps of CRPF and Mizoram police near Vairengte auto rickshaw stand. With the intervention of the Union Home Minister, who spoke to both the chief ministers, Assam police have withdrawn from the place and the duty posts have been handed back to CRPF personnel. The government of Mizoram strongly condemns the unjustified act of the government of Assam in this.
क्यों ऐसा हुआ? आपकी इलाके में जो ग्राउंड लेवल पे लोग हैं उनके साथ बात हुई, क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन आ रही है?
ये ऐसा है कि ये पहला दफ़ा नहीं कि इन लोग का जो हमारा जो एरिया अग्रासन करने के लिए इन लोग हर साल में ही कोई ना कोई समय ऐसा कोशिश करता आ रहा है। तो लास्ट ईयर भी किया था, एक आदमी तो मर गिरा इन लोग। तो काल जब इन लोग का जो अपना जो बाउंड्री है, बाउंड्री से नीचे आ रहा था, उसी टाइम पे तो इन्फॉर्मेशन हमारा सिविल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन या पुलिस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को मिला। तो उसी टाइम पे इन लोग गया, इन लोग का जो बाउंड्री में एसपी का साथ बैठ के वो बातचीत चल रहा था, उसी टाइम पे ही पहले तो इन लोग का जो सिविलियन आदमी है, इन लोग ने पहले अपना तरफ से वो पत्थरबाजी किया, उसका बाद में बस अचानक इन लोग फायरिंग शुरुआत किया। तो फायरिंग में आप लोग का जानकारी है ही, अभी 5 जो हमारा जवान का निधन हो गया। 5 जो जवान का निधन हुआ हमारा असम पुलिस का, साथ ही साथ करीबन 50-55 आदमी अभी भी एडमिट है सिलचर मेडिकल कॉलेज में। हमारा जो एसपी था वहाँ का, एसपी का भी ये जख्म हुआ, उसको शायद सिलचर में उसका ट्रीटमेंट होने वाला नहीं है, वो बाहर में ले जा रहा है एयर एम्बुलेंस से।
मिजोरम सरकार का ये दावा है कि असम की पुलिस उनके इलाके में घुस के आई और इसके बाद कन्फ्रंटेशन शुरू हुआ और उन्होंने रिटेलिएट किया।
देखिए, ऐसा बात है कि ये अब 2 महीना का जो चल रहा है, क्योंकि मिजोरम बाउंड्री बस हमारा कछार में है ऐसा नहीं है। बराक घाटी में 3 डिस्ट्रिक्ट होता है, एक हैलाकंदी है, एक करीमगंज है, एक कछार है। हैलाकंदी करीमगंज में इन लोग घुसने का कोशिश किया है।
मिजोरम से फिर से बात करने की, पहल करने की कोशिश भी जारी हो चुकी है।
जरूर, ये बात तो सही है कि हमारा मुख्यमंत्री जी अभी जा रहा है।
And the Assam-Meghalaya borders also witnessed some violence. The situation turned violent after clashes broke out on Monday between local residents near Kiling in Meghalaya, and these were clashes between the local residents and the Assam police. While objecting to the attempt of the Meghalaya Electricity Corporation Limited to erect an electricity pole, the Assam police personnel have reportedly tried to pull down the electricity poles. This has led to commotion in the large area where a large group of the Assam police was sent to the site despite the crowd. However, the situation nearly got out of hand. Let's go right across to Ratnadeep reporting on the very latest. Ratnadeep, after the Assam-Mizoram clashes in which you've confirmed now that 6 police personnel have died, more than 50 injured. There's also tension along the Assam-Meghalaya border. What more can you tell us about these developments?
Well, there has been a tension at the Assam-Meghalaya border in Rivoi district yesterday afternoon, but it was a low-scale tension as compared to what happened at the Assam-Mizoram border, where 5 personnel of Assam police have lost their lives in the firing that took place at the border after there were initially stone pelting as well as some arson, and some vehicles were damaged on from both sides. In fact, public vehicle, government vehicle and police vehicles were damaged. Now there have been claims and counter claims by the Assam government and the Mizoram government. Well, the Mizoram government has claimed that although there were central forces deployed in the border, the Assam police actually, entered into the Mizoram side of the border. That's what Mizoram police claims, and along with some locals from the Assam side of the border, and that's where the situation escalated. And they also, Mizoram government has, in a press statement said that Assam police had used grenades, whereas Assam government has come up with a statement claiming that they were maintaining status quo, and it is Mizoram police when it is basically Mizoram which we had constructed a new border outpost inside Assam territory, and Assam top officials were there to actually talk it out with the authorities of the Kolasip district of Mizoram when Mizoram police actually fired upon them, and Assam police also claims that Mizoram police had fired from LMG light machine guns. So the visuals that we had been playing out clearly shows that burst of fire being fired upon. So there is claims and counterclaims. In fact, this claims and counterclaims is not restricted only to official statements, but since last afternoon, both the chief ministers have tweeted visuals and had also tagged Union Home Minister Amit Shah in those tweets that they have done, claiming that how the other side is trying to come into their territory. So at this moment, what we have been gathering from our sources is that the Central Forces CRPF are deployed at the disputed area in the border between Lailapur in Kachar district of Assam and Vairangte in Mizoram's Kolasip district, and both the police forces have actually are stationed at their own sides, but there is tension in the area. There's palpable tension. In fact, tension had been simmering for past 1 month, and there have been a couple of rounds of talks as well between the authorities right at the disputed site. Even at the also there were talks with the Union Home Minister just 3 days back at Shillong when Home Minister was on a visit to Northeast. These talks really figured the border dispute really figured out in those discussions with Union Home Minister. But now it seems that this recent flare-up has caused a lot of tension, a lot of apprehension. In fact, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma would reach Silchar, the district headquarters of Kachar district, and he would review the situation. Already 5 police personnel are dead, over 50 people, including civilians, are injured, and the district superintendent of police of Kachar district has also sustained bullet injuries. He's in ICU, and sources are telling us that he might be shifted in an air ambulance out of Silchar for better treatment.
All right, well, those are extremely worrying developments, Ratnadeep, that you're reporting on across the borders between Assam and Mizoram, and Assam and Meghalaya as well. We're going to continue to keep a close watch on all those developments. Thanks so much for joining us with that update. The farmers' protest has completed 8 months, and it was marked with women farmers conducting the ongoing Kisan Sansad at the Jantar Mantar. Women have always been participants in the farmer protest, but yesterday was the first time that they appeared at the forefront and held their own parliament. Will the real parliament listen to them is the big question.
आज तक महिलाओं को दबाया गया है, लेकिन दबने वालों में से नहीं है। अपने काले कानून रद्द करा के जाएंगे।
After hearing her bold voice here, it is hard to imagine that 40-year-old Ramesh Until lost her husband, 48-year-old Satish Kumar, to a heart attack just 5 months ago during the same farmers' protest. She was part of a group of 200 women farmers who came to Delhi's Jantar Mantar today as part of the Kisan Sansad, which is being held as the monsoon session of Parliament goes on. Today, the farmers' protest at Delhi's borders completed 8 months. Until is from Sonipat, where she and her husband owned a meager 1 acre of land.
परमात्मा हमारे साथ है, चाहे मेरे पति शहीद हुए हैं, मेरे चारों बच्चे भी शहीद हो जाएं, हमें कोई परवाह नहीं है.
In order to pay their respects to Until's husband and many others who lost their lives during the 8 months of protest, the farmers today observed 2 minutes of silence during the Kisan Sansad, where CPIM leader Subhashini Ali played the role of speaker. The Kisan Sansad also had its own agriculture minister.
और मैं कृषि मंत्री होने के नाते आपका सबकी बात मानती हूँ और तीनों जो खेती के कानून है जो काले हैं उनको रद्द करने की मैं भी मांग करती हूँ आपके साथ।
67-year-old Surinder Jaipal holds a PhD in Punjabi literature and is a retired professor from Ludhiana. She comes from a family of farmers and keeps visiting the Singhu border frequently.
किसानों की बात वो अच्छी तरह से नहीं सुनते और वो सुनना नहीं चाहते। जो लोग सुनना नहीं चाहते उनके कान जो है ना वो सुनते हैं, उनमें कोई नुक्स नहीं है, वो सुन सकते हैं, पर जो सुनना नहीं चाहता उसको सचमुच कोई आवाज नहीं सुनती।
In India, while 85% of rural women are engaged in agriculture, only about 13% own land. At the ongoing agitation, 15 to 20% of protesters are women, but are still missing from leadership roles. None of the 9 core committee members of the Sanyukt Kisan Morcha, the group spearheading the movement, are women. Women representatives have also not been part of the key negotiation rounds between the government and farmers. The Kisan Sansad also saw celebrity faces like actress and activist Gul Panag, who came to show their support to the farmers.
बहुत लोग हमारे मीडिया में यहाँ के दोस्त बैठे हैं, वो पूछते हैं कि सरकार मान तो गई है, अमेंडमेंट तो करने को तैयार है। मेरा सिर्फ एक सबमिशन है, वो ये कि जो कानून प्रॉपर कार्रवाई से पास ही नहीं किए गए, उनकी किसी भी अमेंडमेंट में हमें कोई रुचि नहीं है। अगर कानून सही तरीके से पास नहीं किए गए, उन्हें रद्द करना पड़ेगा, उन्हें रद्द करना पड़ेगा, उन्हें रद्द करना पड़ेगा।
Women have always been a part of these farmers' protests, but today is the first time that they've appeared at the forefront and held their own parliament. But the government tussle continues, and the big question remains, will the real parliament listen to their demands? In New Delhi with camera person Sudesh Kumar Ram, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
Welcome back. The big political story from Karnataka. While the Chief Minister Yediyurappa stepped down on the second anniversary of the government, the four-time Chief Minister resigned yesterday following weeks of speculation with tears in his eyes. Who is it going to be after B.S. Yediyurappa is unclear? Here's the report.
Emotional, tearful. The BJP's first ever Chief Minister in South India, sworn in 4 times without completing a single term. B.S. Yediyurappa announcing his resignation at an event to mark his 2 years in power. A quick trip from the Vidhana Saudha to the Raj Bhavan next door, and the formalities were soon completed.
20ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು 2 ವರ್ಷ ತುಂಬದ ಈ ಶುಭ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡೋದು ಸೂಕ್ತ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾನು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾನು ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆಯನ್ನು ಗವರ್ನರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅವರು ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ಫುಲ್ ಟು ಪ್ರೈಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ji.
Speculation over his resignation had peaked after his sudden trip to Delhi earlier this month. It came in the backdrop of vocal complaints against him by some state party colleagues for his style of functioning, and against his son Vijendra for alleged interference in state affairs. At 78, Yediyurappa is well over the BJP's unofficial age limit of 75 for public posts. He would be 80 at the time of the next state elections. And many corruption charges against him over the years would not have helped his case. But he built the BJP in Karnataka and has been far and away their best known and most charismatic leader. Naming the successor to this powerful Lingayat leader will be a challenge. The Lingayats are a large and powerful group in the state and are largely seen as a BJP vote bank.
It is natural, he was very much emotional.
Any thoughts on who will be next, who will take over?
No idea. It is left to the High Command.
BJP leaders are tight-lipped about the name of the successor of Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa. They are saying that the entire process may take 2 to 3 days. Though the party leaders say that the new leader will be young and he will be chosen keeping the caste equations in mind.
Former Congress Chief Minister Siddaramaiah tweeted that the change wouldn't make much difference to the state.
B.S. Yediyurappa is and always will be the first ever BJP Chief Minister in southern India. He will go down as that in the history books. He says he will dedicate the next years of his life to building up the party, to building up the BJP in the state. Speculation, of course, of his resignation came after his meeting with Prime Minister Modi, but he chose the occasion of his second anniversary in power to make that tearful, emotional announcement that he would be stepping down. He will be a very hard act to follow for whoever the BJP chooses to succeed him. With DM Kumar, Maya Sharma in Bengaluru for NDTV.
Welcome back. Let's get you the big story we're tracking from the national capital. Well, heavy rainfall is being seen across Delhi NCR since early this morning. Several areas as a result are waterlogged after heavy rains lashed the national capital and adjoining areas this morning. The Met Office has said that intense intermittent showers are likely now until Thursday, and we've got pictures coming in from different parts. And what you can actually see on one side of your screen is a DTC bus in Delhi which has been completely waterlogged. So those are pictures of a DTC bus completely waterlogged, water gushing inside the bus in the national capital. So heavy rain once again being reported from the national capital, and in a very short span of time there's been a heavy downpour in Delhi, and therefore there has been a lot of waterlogging that is being reported across several areas. What we are being told from the Met Department is that this condition is likely to persist until Thursday. The overall monsoon deficit in the country, remember, is currently at 1%. Those are the latest pictures of heavy rain coming in from the national capital. Well, VIP movement has caused a stampede at the Mahakaleshwar temple in Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. Uma Bharti, Shivraj Singh Chauhan were among the visitors at the temple on Monday. They visited the temple along with their families. There were thousands of devotees who gathered on the first Monday of Sawan, as it's known. Several devotees, including women and children, were reportedly injured in the incident. The temple opened last month, but only for those who've received at least one dose of the vaccine or with a negative RT-PCR test that's been issued 48 hours before entering the temple. A total of 3,500 devotees are permitted to enter the temple between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. on a daily basis. And these, of course, are pictures that are coming in from the first Monday of Sawan, which is considered an auspicious day. The footfall at the temple was a lot, and the stampede situation, of course, was triggered as a result of special arrangements that were made to accommodate VIPs like Uma Bharti and Shivraj Singh Chauhan. Unfortunate, women and children were injured, among others.
निश्चित रूप से फ्री फॉर ऑल की व्यवस्था में कोविड की गाइडलाइंस का पालन नहीं हो पाता है, तो हम लोग एक नए प्लान के साथ में आएंगे जो कल घोषित कर दिया। निश्चित रूप से ये सब सारी चीजें जो हुई है कि कोरोना की गाइडलाइन का उल्लंघन तो हुआ ही है, इसके अलावा एक साथ में कई सारे लोग आ गए थे। आगे से हम लोग सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग का पालन करवाएंगे, जिससे इस प्रकार की चीजें नहीं होंगी।
Now, Mumbai, which has been a COVID hotspot, has had very few infection cases in the recent past. But Mumbai is nearly 400% higher than Delhi's daily cases. In Mumbai, cases are still being reported from builders. There are no cases from slums. This is what the BMC has said. Interestingly, people with travel history are the ones who are testing positive. Here's a report.
India's biggest cities, its capital and its financial powerhouse, but markedly different COVID scenarios as the second wave abates. Delhi is now reporting just 60 to 70 daily cases, while the figures in Mumbai continue to hover between 300 to 500 daily cases. This despite the fact that Delhi is conducting double the number of daily COVID tests than Mumbai. At the peak of the second wave, Delhi reported the highest, 28,000 COVID cases in one day. Mumbai, the highest single-day cases were less than half of this figure, at 11,000 cases. But in the last month, Delhi has seen a reduction of active cases by 63%. For Mumbai, it's been a 38% reduction for the same period. So why is Mumbai still reporting a high number of daily COVID cases?
हमको आज भी 300 से 400 के दरमियान केसेस मिल रही है, इस केसेस का जब विश्लेषण किया तो यह पता चलता है कि जिस इलाके में ऊंची इमारतें ज़्यादा है, पक्की इमारतें ज़्यादा है, लेकिन दूसरी लहर के दरमियान वो चाहे व्यवसाय के लिए हो, चाहे मेल मिलाप के लिए हो, चाहे किसी फंक्शन में सम्मिलित होने के लिए हो या कहीं सैर सपाटे के लिए हो, बाहर निकल रहे हैं।
Some good news and a note of caution for Mumbai. Slum clusters like Dharavi with a tightly packed population susceptible to a faster spread of the pandemic are throwing up almost zero cases every day, leading to laxity in wearing masks. In contrast, 61 high-rises across Mumbai continue to remain sealed because of COVID.
पहली वेव आई थी, वहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा जो असर हुआ था वो था झुग्गी झोपड़ियों में, और ख़ास करके धारावी में बहुत ज़ोर भी दिया था। जब सेकेंड वेव बहुत ज़ोर से हुई, धारावी में फिर भी सेकेंड वेव का असर बहुत कम था।
While Mumbai's positivity rate has now come down to 1%, Delhi's positivity rate is just 0.09%. 67 lakh people in Mumbai are vaccinated. For Delhi, the figure is much more, at 95 lakh vaccinations. With Pooja Bharadwaj in Mumbai, Bureau Report, NDTV.
And well, let's now shift our focus to the big story that we're tracking from Tamil Nadu, where free vaccinations will now be given out even at private centres. This in a bid by the state government to utilise the 25% vaccines that have been allocated to the private sector. Only 5% of the vaccines that have been allocated to the private sector have actually been used so far, and therefore the Tamil Nadu government has invited corporates to fund the free vaccine drive.
Vijay, who works in a hotel, is among the first set of Chennaites to get their COVID-19 free vaccination at this private hospital in the city. He got it done in just a few minutes today, after several unsuccessful attempts at government centres last week.
Yeah, it's a good system, but before the people didn't get some, people are still not finished the first dose. If the private hospital is giving the free, then everyone got easily.
Although private hospitals get 25% of vaccines, so far they have utilized just around 5% in Tamil Nadu. The strategy is to tap this underutilized supplies fully. The state government has invited corporates to fund private hospitals through their CSR. Hospitals too could be part of this drive.
Private players in this health industry, it's more than 80% of the hospitals can participate actually. I'm sure the response will be pretty good. MNC companies are tying up with us, so we even go to their campus to vaccinate their employees actually.
In these 2 days itself, we have got support of almost 3 crore worth of vaccines. So that's like a win-win situation for everybody.
In the 18 plus category, only 6% of its population in Tamil Nadu has received both doses. While the demand is high, getting additional allocation from the centre continues to be a challenge. And the Tamil Nadu government is exploring innovative ways to use every option available now before any third wave. In Chennai with Suresh, Sam Daniel for NDTV.
Now, Kerala, that is contributing the maximum number of cases to India's overall tally, has contributed 40%. 40% of the new cases in the country are coming in from Kerala. This is interestingly a state that also has a very high percentage of vaccine coverage, but the state has now run out of vaccine, according to the Kerala Health Minister.
It seems districts like Trivandrum, Kollam, Pathanamthitta, Alappuzha, they don't have Covishield vaccine, and Trivandrum also doesn't have this vaccine. We are forwarding our request and we are requesting central government to give us more vaccine.
Well, student leader Eric Stephen has been on a fast for over a week in Thiruvananthapuram, protesting the decision of APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University to make exams offline for 2.5 lakh students. Over 35 students are reported to have tested positive after the offline exams.
Student leader Eric Stephen has been on fast for over a week in Thiruvananthapuram, protesting the decision of APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University to make exams offline for 2.5 lakh students. Over 35 students are reported to have tested positive after offline exams.
We are questioning this thing, and unfortunately the government and the university is not
with us and it's not with the students. Unfortunately, they are playing with the life of students, and the university will be answerable if something bad happens due to this examination.
Kerala's COVID figures have been worrying. It has accounted for 41% of all cases in the last 1 week and is the only state to cross 1 lakh cases in a week in the last 7 weeks. The positivity rate has been over 11% and growing. Over 10 districts in Kerala have reported over 10% weekly positivity rate, up from 7 districts in the previous week. The irony is Kerala is one of the fastest vaccinating states in the country, having fully vaccinated nearly 21% of adult population. But the latest Sero survey shows only 42.7% of antibodies as against a national average of over 67%.
As of now, Kerala is the leading per day cases in COVID. So we know that there's a plateau always after every peak, and this seems to be a plateau phase after the second wave in Kerala. But there has been a significant difference in the pattern of COVID positive cases.
Kerala's health minister insists that the positivity rate is under control, but experts point out that the cases are still rising, possibly because a larger portion of the population is still unexposed to the virus as shown by the Sero surveillance because of better compliance to masking and also social distancing. The danger is that there could be more mutants and more variants arising, and therefore greater genomic surveillance is required so that Kerala does not become another Maharashtra in a third wave. With camera person SP Babu in Thiruvananthapuram, with camera person Nagraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
Well, let's go across to Maharashtra now, where Sangli remains the worst affected district in Maharashtra. Now, miraculously, no lives have been lost so far due to floods, according to the administration in the Sangli district, even as the state has reported 164 deaths. Over 100 villages have been submerged. Nearly 2 lakh people have been evacuated and moved to relief camps. Sangli, like I said, has been the worst affected, but no lives have been lost. 32,000 animals too have been evacuated to safer areas.
Four days since the flood situation in Sangli, and this is still the condition of roads leading to Sangli city. In front of me, what you see is the Krishna River. The bridge that has been constructed over the Krishna River is completely submerged in water, and water is flowing over the bridge, which is why there is no traffic that's being allowed to use these roads for safety reasons. And in several houses in these areas, 4 days since the flood arrived, water is yet to recede from people's homes and the roads that connect Sangli. All major roads to Sangli closed to traffic. Submerged homes, submerged bridges and swirling floodwaters in areas surrounding Sangli city. Bhilewadi, one of the worst affected areas, had about 10 feet of water.
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बोर्ड आपको दिख रहा होगा, वही कल सुबह हमने मगरमच्छ देखा था। ठीक है, खेत में से आया था वो मगरमच्छ। यहाँ पे बहुत मगरमच्छ हर रोज देखे जाते हैं। अच्छा। तो उसी का डर रहता है।
कल से पानी थोड़ा थोड़ा उतर रहा है, लेकिन 60 फीट तक वो भिलवड़ी पातळी थी। अच्छा। अब ब्रिज पर 10 फुट तक पानी है।
Cattle and livestock have been moved to safer areas. 32,000 animals have been moved to animal shelters. Residents of these areas are still living in relief camps and are now beginning to clean their homes. Nearly 2 lakh people in Sangli are living in relief camps as over 100 villages are submerged. Guardian Minister for Sangli, Jayant Patil, Minister Vishwajit Kadam and Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar had to take a boat to reach these areas. They spoke to villagers and visited a relief camp.
The rainfall is increasing. I spoke to the district authorities and the evacuation process started immediately, much before we reached to the peak. So almost all the population was evacuated in time and the flood followed little later.
On the other side of the river, these frightening visuals of a crocodile on the streets in Uncle Koop village. Not just villages in and around Sangli, but also the city itself has seen massive flooding in sudden torrential rains in the catchment areas of the Krishna River. Even the Sangli prison has been flooded and several areas of the city are still inundated, including the main market areas. Flood waters have finally started receding in Sangli district and Sangli city, but authorities say it will take at least 24 hours more for flood waters to recede completely. For the residents of Sangli, it's been 4 days of hell. But in the midst of all these bad news, there's one silver lining. The district hasn't reported a single death due to floods yet. With camera person Rajendra Dhayalkar in Sangli city, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
Welcome back. It was a warm welcome indeed for medal winner Mirabai Chanu. She spoke with NDTV. She said she's done with Tokyo and is now thinking about Paris.
Well, I'm joined by the Tokyo Olympic silver medalist Mirabai Chanu. Let me speak to her. Mira, वापस आए इंडिया, कैसा था आपका जर्नी जापान टू इंडिया? आप सोचते सोचते आए हैं कि इतना सारा सेलिब्रेशंस आपके लिए होगा?
नहीं, मैं नहीं सोचा था। सुना तो था आप लोग को इंडिया में इतना सारे वेलकम करने में आएगी, तो इतना सारे लोग आए थे, इतना प्यार दिया था, तो मैं कभी नहीं सोचा था ऐसा होगी, पर मुझे बहुत बहुत खुशी हुई, बहुत ज़्यादा।
मेरा आपने पिज्ज़ा खाया?
हाँ जी, मैं उसी दिन कॉम्पिटिशन ख़त्म होते ही मैंने डिनर में पिज़्ज़ा खाई थी, क्योंकि मुझे कॉम्पिटिशन से पहले 2 दिन मैंने कुछ नहीं खाए थे, मेरा वेट की वजह से, तो मैंने पिज़्ज़ा खाई थी सबसे।
बहुत टाइम से आप शायद वेजिटेरियन भी रह चुकी है, और आप अब एक पिज़्ज़ा कंपनी ने बोला है आपको लाइफ टाइम फ्री पिज़्ज़ा मिलेगा, तो वो कैसे आप यूटिलाइज करेंगे वो ऑफर?
हाँ, मुझे भी बहुत खुशी हुई ये सुन के, क्योंकि मुझे पहले से ही पिज़्ज़ा बहुत पसंद होते थे। जब भी मैं जंक फूड खाने का मन किया तो मैं पिज़्ज़ा ही ऑर्डर करके मैं खा लेती। तो अभी शायद डोमिनोज वालों ने मुझे पूरा पिज़्ज़ा हर दिन या जब भी चाहिए खाने के लिए मुझे ऑफर दिया, तो मुझे बहुत।
मेरा जब आप गए टोक्यो, आप तब से ही बोल रहे थे कि मेडल आपको ज़रूर मिलेगा। ये कॉन्फिडेंस कैसे मिला आपको, कहाँ से मिला कि जरूर मेडल जरूर आएगा?
हाँ, ये कॉन्फिडेंस मैंने रियो से ही पूरा सीखा था। रियो में जो मैंने फैन किया था, तो इसी दिन से मैं पूरा ऐसा हो गया था, मुझे नेक्स्ट ओलंपिक में या नेक्स्ट कंपटीशन जो भी में मुझे मेडल लेना है, अच्छा बेस्ट परफॉर्मेंस देना है, तो इसमें से मैं कॉन्फिडेंस भी मिला, और मेरे सर ने, विजय सर ने मुझे बहुत ही मोटिवेशन दी थी।
घर पे बात हुआ है, अगला प्लान क्या है आपके लिए?
अभी हाँ, घर से बात हुआ है, मम्मी भी बहुत बिजी है अभी, सारे लोग मम्मी को मिलने घर पे सारे लोग हैं, तो मम्मी भी काफ़ी बिजी है और खुश भी है, सारी फैमिलीज है। तो मैं कल घर जा रही हूँ मणिपुर, तो थोड़ी देर मैं घर में रहूँगी, मम्मी लोग के साथ में इंजॉय करूँगी, फिर आगे तो मैं ट्रेनिंग और करना है 24 ओलंपिक में मैं फिर इसी के लिए मैं तैयारी और करना है।
मीरा, हम दुआ करेंगे कि आपका सिल्वर गोल्ड में बदल जाए पेरिस ओलंपिक्स में 2024 में। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Welcome back. India's reported less than 30,000 daily cases after 132 days. 29,689 new cases have been reported in India in the last 24 hours. The active caseload is also below 4 lakh for the first time in 124 days, currently at 3.98 lakh. Meanwhile, 66 lakh vaccine doses have been given in the last 24 hours, which is the highest that one has seen in several weeks. The daily positivity rate in India is currently at 1.7% and has been below 5%. But the good news that's coming in at the moment is that India has reported less than 30,000 cases for the first time in 132 days. 29,600 infections reported. The active caseload has fallen below the 4 lakh mark after 124 days, and 66 lakh doses of the vaccine have been administered in this time period. keep a close watch on all those numbers. Meanwhile, VIP movement caused a stampede at the Mahakaleshwar temple in Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. Uma Bharti and Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan along with their family members reached the temple. This as there were thousands of devotees who gathered to offer prayers on the first Monday of the Sawan season, which is considered to be an extremely auspicious day. Several devotees, including children and women, have been injured in the stampede that's been reported from the Mahakaleshwar temple. The temple reopened last month, but only for those who received at least one dose of the coronavirus vaccine or with a negative RT-PCR test issued 48 hours before entering the temple. A total of 3,500 devotees are present to enter the temple premises between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. a day.
निश्चित रूप से फ्री फॉर ऑल की व्यवस्था में कोविड की गाइडलाइंस का पालन नहीं हो पाता है। तो हम लोग एक नए प्लान के साथ में आएंगे जो कल घोषित कर दिया। निश्चित रूप से ये सब सारी चीजें जो हुई है कि कोरोना की गाइडलाइन का उल्लंघन तो हुआ ही है, इसके अलावा एक साथ में कई सारे लोग आ गए थे। आगे से हम लोग सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग का पालन करवाएंगे जिससे इस प्रकार की चीजें नहीं होंगी।
Meanwhile, there appears to be a discrepancy in the way Mumbai and Delhi COVID cases are panning out at the moment. Mumbai, which has been a COVID hotspot, has very few infection cases in the recent past, but it is nearly 400% higher than Delhi's daily rise in cases. Here's why.
India's biggest cities, its capital and its financial powerhouse, but markedly different COVID scenarios as the second wave abates. Delhi is now reporting just 60 to 70 daily cases, while the figures in Mumbai continue to hover between 300 to 500 daily cases. This despite the fact that Delhi is conducting double the number of daily COVID tests than Mumbai. At the peak of the second wave, Delhi reported the highest 28,000 COVID cases in one day. Mumbai, the highest single-day cases were less than half of this figure at 11,000 cases. But in the last month, Delhi has seen a reduction of active cases by 63%. For Mumbai, it's been a 38% reduction for the same period. So why is Mumbai still reporting a high number of daily COVID cases?
हमको आज भी 300 से 400 के दरमियान केसेस मिल रही है। इस केसेस का जब विश्लेषण किया तो यह पता चलता है कि जिस इलाके में ऊंची इमारतें ज़्यादा है, पक्की इमारतें ज़्यादा है, लेकिन दूसरी लहर के दरमियान वो चाहे व्यवसाय के लिए हो, चाहे मेल मिलाप के लिए हो, चाहे किसी फंक्शन में सम्मिलित होने के लिए हो या कहीं सैर सपाटे के लिए हो, बाहर निकल रहे हैं।
Some good news and a note of caution for Mumbai. Slum clusters like Dharavi, with a tightly packed population susceptible to a faster spread of the pandemic, are throwing up almost zero cases every day, leading to laxity in wearing masks. In contrast, 61 high-rises across Mumbai continue to remain sealed because of COVID.
पहली वेव आई थी, वहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा जो असर हुआ था वो था झुग्गी झोपड़ियों में, और ख़ास करके धारावी में बहुत ज़ोर भी दिया था। जब सेकेंड वेव बहुत ज़ोर से हुई, धारावी में फिर भी सेकेंड वेव का असर बहुत कम था।
While Mumbai's positivity rate has now come down to 1%, Delhi's positivity rate is just 0.09%. 67 lakh people in Mumbai are vaccinated. For Delhi, the figure is much more, at 95 lakh vaccinations. With Pooja Bharadwaj in Mumbai, Bureau Report, NDTV.